What if I told you that the secret to a thriving chiropractic practice isn't just about adjustments and appointments, but about mastering the art of communication and headspace to create a community ripple effect? Hi there, I'm Greg Venning, and I'm your guide on the Questing Chiropractor podcast, where we help you to find more meaning in your practice life so you can have higher levels of organization and deliver your care exquisitely so you can make an impact and leave a legacy. Today, we're going to dive into an enlightening episode where we unravel some of the secrets behind effective chiropractic practices, from the indispensable role of chiropractic assistants to the transformative power of curiosity over judgment, the importance of your pre-shift huddles. We cover so much today. We meet Eilidh, our extraordinary guest in today's episode, who brings a wealth of experience and wisdom to the table. As a seasoned chiropractic assistant, practice manager, and practice owner, Eilidh delves deep into the multifaceted roles that CAs play in a thriving practice, from juggling appointments to payments to being an emotional anchor for the practice members in your practice. Eilidh's seen it all, and she trains other people on how to do this. She also shares her unique perspective on the importance of effective communication and how it can make or break your practice. Eilidh has an amazing knack for problem solving and a keen eye for detail, and she offers invaluable insights that promise to transform the way you view your practice. Now, Eilidh, or Els, and I are partners in life and in business, and within that, we discuss powerful things in this episode that we haven't ever actually discussed before. So Eilidh will share these invaluable insights that promise to elevate your practice and enrich your relationships. Don't miss this episode. It's packed with actionable tips and thought-provoking discussions. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Questing Chiropractor podcast. We help you grow as visionary, vitalistic, and capable chiropractors who are always on. We do things differently as we help to elegantly awaken your innate wisdom within. We help you create robust, predictable, and trustworthy practices that serve oceans of people and yet still have free time for yourselves and your families. We use neuroscience to deliver better business results so that you can get greater, deeper, and more effective impact in more ways. We are Questing Chiropractors, and this is our story. So welcome to the Questing Chiropractor. I am Greg Venning, and today I have Eilidh Venning with me. And so you know a little bit about Eilidh, and so you know that we share the same surname. And what a lot of people don't know is that our chiropractic stories probably started at the same time, and they started continents apart. And I think that's quite cool for us to touch on now, Els, given that we've spoken in the last couple of episodes about how voids drive values and curiosity drives a beautiful journey, and figuring out what problem we solve and what solutions we want to create. How did you come to chiropractic? What was your story?
So my family had been under care in Scotland. My dad was due for spinal fusion surgery. My mum was a nurse she'd worked in a spinal injuries unit, and she had seen what happens when people have spinal fusions. So she'd said, like, let's try all other options before we actually get there and before we get to that point. So they eventually found a chiropractor. He saw such amazing results, and that practice had a family checkup policy. So my mum went in because I had done damage to her coccyx on my way out. So she went to get help with that. My sister, who was a world champion bagpiper, had been having some TMJ issues. So she jumped in there to see if they could help with that too, and they did. And I had been having hemiplegic migraines since I was in my very early, actually preteens. And we'd been trying all sorts of things to help with me, and nothing had worked. We tried food diaries, we tried everything, and eventually I was told just take painkillers every day, just preemptively. Yeah, I started going to the chiropractor, and the frequency and the intensity of the migraines, like, went lowered. It just went down so quickly, and it was amazing. I was getting at least 1 or 2 a month, and they were lasting anything from a few hours to up to a week. And so, yeah, at that point. And so, yeah, and then of course I call it the brain bruising afterwards that you feel whenever, like, you move your head. It feels as if your brain's a bit bruised afterwards. It's the kind of migraine hangover. yeah, and so, um, I'd seen such amazing results with that, and, the practice was looking for a Saturday person, so I immediately jumped on that one, and within a few months, I had, the title of practice manager in that practice because the person that was there had moved to another practice that was closer to them. So, I was thrown in the deep end really, in my late teens, and that was, geez, about 20 years ago now, so yeah, that's when my journey started, and as you say, it was different continents, but also different hemispheres.
So one of the things that always strikes me about you, and I don't know if I tell you this enough, is how competent and capable you are. So I can only imagine that being thrown in the deep end so young, you on the inside might have felt uncertain, afraid, and all sorts of other different things. But on the outside, you made it work, and it's really a hallmark of a great CA, isn't it? And I mean, a great person in many aspects, but for a CA to be able to handle the chaos is a massively important part of the role.
That's why I often use with RCAs, I often use that, like, swan or duck analogy with them. I'm, like, gliding gracefully across the top of the water, but underneath their little legs are going like this 100 miles an hour. Hell, try and keep up. So, yeah, that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, like when we're running a buzzing practice, then there is organized chaos in every single shift. And it's kids and it's people and it's lateness and it's earliness and it's differences and it's the CA at the front who plays that role of conductor of this orchestra to just make sure that things flow in rhythm and time. And I was joking with somebody who came to see us yesterday for their first visit, and it's the joke that's not a joke, is while I'm in practice, I'm the manual labor. The front desk team, our chiropractic assistants, our practice assistants, are the ones who call the shots. So what is it in that role, do you think, that is so important that gets missed so much from a chiropractor's point of view and from a CA or a PA's point of view?
I think just I think the importance of the CA is the first point of contact for that person, no matter if they've been a walk-in, whether they've phoned in, they're the very, very first person that that person will experience in your practice. And then when they do come in, they're the first person that you see and that you meet and that you have your encounter with. And then from there, they're also then go through to the chiropractor and then come back to you. So you're that last person. So you're the first and last person, and often they spend a lot more time with you than they do with the chiropractor. So your encounter with them is, or their encounter with you is, yeah, it's much more meaningful with them. I like, and how many times, I'm pretty sure chiropractors will like be nodding their head when I say this, but how many times do your practice members tell your CAs more things than they tell you? Like, "Oh, did you know so and so has this going on in their life?" And you're like, "No, they never told me." Because I know that I've experienced that when I've been working with chiropractors, that the chiro's like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they told you and they never told me." That's such big news in their life.
We've had people who've passed on information about going for an operation to you after they've spent time with me at the adjustment, and then you tell me later, and I'm flabbergasted. But it shows us how much information, how much value, how much really important stuff happens at that front desk where there is that more social connection compared to the clinical connection the chiros have. And that social level of connection holds so much reverence in people's lives, and it'll keep them coming back to practices over and over and over, even if the clinical stuff is not the thing that's really floating their boat, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And there have been a number of times where we've experienced that bulldog receptionist as well. And it just like we call them the bulldog receptionist. So it's the one that sits there behind the desk. They don't look at you when you come in, but they give you a grill from behind the computer or from behind the desk. And when you ask them a question, you get barked at in response. And so that doesn't make you want to come back. And yeah, so you do get that like like, for me, my practice members feel like family.
Yeah. And you can feel that connection when you come in, and it's the smile. Is a smile in your voice when you answer the phone. It's a smile on your face when they come through the door. So for chiropractors listening, else, what would be something that you think that chiropractors often don't appreciate enough or don't quite get enough, or something that you know that they tend not to appreciate that you think would help to enrich their relationship with their CAs to get better results for their practice members?
Ask your CAs to write a list of everything that they do during a shift. Like, once you and tell them not to skimp on it. Tell everything that you do during the shift, and you'll be so surprised at how much your CA has to juggle, how many balls there are in the air. Um, and I don't think chiropractors appreciate that enough. You've got you've got the phone ringing or someone on the phone while you're making appointments, while you're taking payments, while you've got a baby on your hip because mum's having an adjustment. You're also listening to see what's happening in that room so that you know how the flow's going to go and who's to go in next. And then you've got equipment to warm up or equipment to get ready and videos to set up and all these things that, like, when you do like a pre-shift with your CA, your front desk person, and you say, right, okay, this needs to be done there, there, and there, it's easy to say, but when you add the people element in there, that's like that adds like 10 extra balls when you add the people element in there.
And I want to pause on that quickly. You spoke about doing a pre-shift round in or pre-shift huddle with your team. And for anybody listening, that is a ridiculously valuable and important process to go through, is to do a pre-shift huddle and a post-shift huddle. Those are so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just holding those people, going through each name of each person coming in and holding space for them for a few seconds, even, and just holding that space and thinking about them, and then also looking at the spaces in your appointment book and seeing who can be the person that comes in and fills those gaps as well.
That was a fun game we used to play when we
Yeah, I
started
love.
our practice here in Cape Town. We would look at, because we had empty space in our book to start with, and we used to play a game of who would come in and how they would come in. And we would think of local people and famous people and the owner of the shop around the corner and so-and-so's mum and this referral, but then they would come in on pogo sticks and climb down a helicopter.
Yeah, we had somebody parachuting in one day. That was one of the things that we had said, like, "Oh, yes, we're gonna have somebody parachute out of a helicopter and land at the door and come in for care."
And as ludicrous as that sounds, it adds an element of fun, adds an element of excitement. And then when people do phone in or walk in, you're then in the state of expectation, and then they feel that. And there's this massive connection that comes from that. That enthusiasm that gets driven from there is powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I am interested in your take, because this is one of the things that I think has transformed a lot in me over the years of working with Quest and being a Quest and chiropractor. And I don't think I've ever actually asked you this, so it'd be interesting for our listeners to hear us talk about this. My ability to do curiosity rather than judgment, I feel, has improved a lot, so that when things don't go according to plan, instead of getting frustrated, angry, down on myself, down on someone else, and all of those other things, there's a greater sense of going, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what happened there.
Mm.
What have you noticed with that change over time? And what have you noticed with maybe the results that we get from that?
Oh, so, like, the way you deal with people has changed massively, since you started with Quest. And, I know that you've done Quest, you've done other things, you come back to Quest. And so, but I've seen the biggest improvement in you, and the way that you communicate with people, and the way that you deal with challenges, um, both personal and professional. It's like, oh yeah, it's completely different to how you used to. I mean, like, you used to be the yell and tell. You used to be the one that would be like, and if you don't do it this way, then you can't do it at all. And if things didn't go your way, you like, you would just blow up. And like, Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't take your frustrations out on your practice members, but you would just be like, "Oh my god, like, why are they doing it this way? And they should be doing it this way, and, like, why aren't you listening to me? This is how they must do it." But now it's more of a, "Hmm, I wonder why they're responding in that way." And so, yeah, you definitely you use curiosity a lot more, um, or you come into things with curiosity a lot more than you used to. Um, and I've seen that that has changed your practice hugely as well. So, you're not just getting people coming in for pain-based care now. And even if they do come in for pain-based care, the way that you speak to them and the way that you educate them, um, you end up those people end up being in it for life. And sometimes those people that did come in insisting that they wanted to be, they only coming in for a quick crack and they knew exactly where it needed to be done, and they just wanted a quick crack and go, and they didn't need all these testing and all this stuff that you did at the beginning and nonsense. And they end up being the people that are there for a lifetime, which is amazing. And I think if that had been 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, they that probably wouldn't have been the case, because you would have fired them straight away. You would have said, "Well, if that's what you want, get out my door."
Yeah, that power of curiosity to look into something in a new way rather than the precast judgment out of it. And whether it's for me, my experience is whether it's a CA who's not using the right way of taking a new person phone call, or it's a practice member who's doing something that they want to do rather than what we might have suggested, or whether it's something that I've done that has been like maybe not what I wanted, or piece of technology that just glitches out on you. The ability to go, "Well, isn't that fascinating?" and be curious about it has really transformed things on all levels. And we spoke about that in one of our first episodes with Mark. And then in the next episode, we spoke with Nimrod about what problem we solve. And we were talking off here just before we started on how to orientate that towards your ideal practice member and creating an avatar and their problems. And you really did well at this one, but you've helped other people through it as well. So take us through that.
Yeah, so this, when we've done this with other chiropractors in Quest, they have seen amazing results with this, and it's such a powerful tool that I don't think people utilize enough. It's kind of like this manifestation of who your ideal practice member is. And so it's not just a case of I want to see mums and babies, or I want to see sports people, or I want to see business people. It's really getting down to the nitty-gritty of it all, and physically creating an avatar as well. So, um, when we've done this with the other questers, they actually did it with their CAs as well. And they were really struggling to find a CA. And, I said, "Well, do you know what you're looking for in your CA?" And they said, "Well, I would like this and this." I said, "Okay. Do you have that written down anywhere?" "No, I have it in my head." And so I encourage them to sit down and make a list of all the attributes, all the qualities that they want to see in that CA, and also their availability and their attitude, and their hobbies and their lifestyle, and make a list, almost like even encouraging them to draw that person with all these things around them. And it's amazing the power um, that brings in manifesting that person, and, yeah, doing the same with your practice member.
Yeah,
Yeah, practice
and
member.
making sure that we detail for that what their pain points are, what their fears are, what their
Yeah.
beliefs are. So when they come through the door, we understand them in a much more dimensional way, so we can serve them in many more dimensions and understand them and help them to choose chiropractic as more than a short-term intervention.
Yeah, and that doesn't just manifest that person walking through the door, it then means that you can market to that ideal person better, because you have a better understanding of them.
And you do a lot of the messaging for not just our practice, but for other chiropractic organizations on social media and online. And you spend a lot of time researching what people are talking about, what problems they perceive they have, so then trying to match our message to their need. What's your experience been over that of doing that for a decade or more? And what kind of your takeaways or main kind of points on that?
Oh, the best the best juice that you can get for marketing is in social media groups, where people are asking for recommendations for different things. We have a local group here, and people are constantly asking, "Oh, who's the best this for this, and where's the best place for that?" And I get to find out what people are looking for and what people are asking for, and yeah, finding out what those pain points are for people, and then it allows me um, to then market better to that person because I understand what their pain points are and also the words that they're using to try and find it as well. So often you find that you kind of overcomplicate things when you try and market things because you use your tech speak. And actually, having a layperson write these things for you, who has some understanding, can sometimes, resonate better with your ideal person.
Yeah, knowing what problems they perceive they have, because then those are the solutions they're looking for, and the language and the words they use to state the problem and find the solution are really, really important. If you're putting on your website that you're a subluxation based practice, uh, that's probably not the problem they perceive they have, and it's probably not the solution that they think they're looking for in that language. So being able to take a subluxation based practice orientation towards somebody who's looking for pain relief is not an incongruence at all. It's simply meeting people where they're at and then
Mm.
helping them to walk that journey along the path.
Yeah, absolutely. Clear messaging, and it just helps to I think it just helps to with that communication loop. We talk about the communication loop and how it closes that messaging off as well nicely.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think that's a great place for us to round up today. And Ailsa, thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely be having you on again in future episodes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for having me. I love working with chiropractors and CAs and also the practice members. That's my biggest thing is helping the community and the ripple effects that has. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love it so much. Thank you so much. And we will be with you guys next time. Thank you.